All right, you guys know I've watched almost every single Mac Studio video, and dude, I'm pumped about this. I hope, let's just say this, when we bought, I'm gonna start unboxing this. When we bought the MacBook Pros, they were absolutely game-changing, and we have loved them. However, I thought there's no way we're gonna max these out. These are so fast. Within a couple weeks, we found the limits of our M1 Max spec'd out MacBook Pros. We have 3 of them. I've got one, Scott's got one for editing, and Ryan's got one in the recording studio. And every single one of them, we found the limits. So when they announced this, I thought, let's just see if this helps us out. After we got the MacBook Pros, we shot in 8K, and that video took, jeez, I can't open this thing. That video took an extra couple hours to edit just because of a little bit of lag and hiccups and not being able to really do that. So, can this edit in 8K? Can we do After Effects smoothly and easily? Can we run this in the studio and throw on some really hefty plugins and software instruments? Can we game and stream on this? That's the big one. That's what I want to find out. All right, oh my gosh. Dude, this thing is a chunk. I would love to be able to edit and use Mac OS and also game and also stream all on a Mac. That is the dream. And I've got a beast of a PC. It's awesome. I love my PC. I hate Windows. Oh. Da-da-da-da. You don't really see how big it is in the videos. This, just put it next to my head. That's also not gonna be very fair because I have a very big head. So picture large head next to this thing. So we got editing. We're gonna do gaming and streaming. We're going to do VFX in After Effects, and we're gonna do audio, like music production. So let's see what the experience on this thing is like in all 5 of those categories. Which one do we start with?
Start with editing.
Start with editing. We do have the footage for it already. We already shot 8K footage.
Might as well.
All right, cool. Let's go. We got these MacBook Pros with the spec'd out M1 Max chips in them. We also got an 8K camera, which is this one right here, the Sony A1, because I thought we'd get these beasts of machines now, shoot it in 8K, so we have some flexibility when it comes to editing our videos and rotating and cropping and punching in and maintaining the resolution. And so the question is, how much better is the Mac Studio? How much better can it handle those little hiccups? And is it worth upgrading from the Mac Studio to the MacBook Pro? I mean the other way around. You know what I meant. Let's check it out.
So to start off, we're starting on the MacBook Pro, the laptop. What you're about to see is shot in 8K 30. I have background renders off and the playback is in better quality. So for the first one, what I did is just one stream of 8K footage with 3D text. Now, one thing I noticed with the laptop is that if you look on the left screen, you'll see a really quick stutter and some micro stutters happening. Right there. Micro stutters. Now, I also have found out that if you just have a single stream of 8K, but you have multiple of them, like you're trying to cut into different pieces of footage, it also plays back totally fine. So you'll see here into another piece.
Yeah, so just straight up editing 8K is totally fine if you're like just going clip by clip on the timeline.
Where I've started to find hiccups, it can do 1, 2, and 3 streams at one time, but once you hit 4 streams of 8K, it falls apart. It'll play 4 streams, but once it cuts over into another 4 streams, it just absolutely craps out.
It's gone.
Yeah,
and this is what we were hitting with using multiple camera angles at the time, or using multicams or something.
Yeah.
Just when you have these multiple cameras and then they're cutting from clip to clip, it's during the cut that it just dies.
Mm-hmm. Mind you, we didn't. This isn't transcoded in ProRes or anything. This is just straight out of camera.
Yeah, we could have optimized this footage and transcoded it all to ProRes, but at that point, the process of transcoding to ProRes takes just as much time as waiting for rendering anyway. So we want to know, like, can we use the Mac Studio to do this kind of stuff that we do on these videos and just grab it right out of the camera and use it?
Now, the last practical test that we do on our videos a lot is quick punch-ins and text, usually on the bottom middle of the screen. And I tried it on this, handled it completely fine.
Yeah, these MacBook Pros are insane. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't believe how well it handles 8K on a laptop.
I want to know how the Studio handles it.
But let's just see if this cleans up all the little stutters.
Let's take a look.
Let's try.
So the first playback that we did on the 3D text, it had that big black screen flicker and just didn't play well.
Ooh,
okay.
We still got a black screen there for a moment.
Okay. I wonder if that's the title. like
Yeah.
just the title itself.
Well, yeah, it feels more like a bug than a lack of power.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from it. Okay, 4 streams.
This is where we release, like, this is where
Yeah.
it matters. This is
Okay.
where it matters.
Plays fine.
Oh,
Oh, a little stutter.
So right after the cut, you get a couple stutters.
Yeah, but only for like 5
Yeah,
frames.
no,
and
it
then
is not
levels
even
out.
close to the same thing, but
No.
still. Just throw a 5th one on there. Let's see what happens if we throw a
Alright.
5th one. We're just gonna throw it, slap it right in the middle.
Okay, this is ridiculous.
It's a masterpiece.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, plays fine.
Plays fine. Plays fine.
Totally fine.
I think it does 5 better than it does 4. We haven't had a
Yeah.
single dropped frame.
We're
That was,
not
that was
rendered.
incredible.
We're not rendered.
Throw a 6th one on there.
Oh, a little
You
bit.
get a little bit of stuttering, and now it's fine.
I'm gonna throw another one.
Do
on
8.
there.
Make it 8.
All right.
8 streams, non-ProRes, non-optimized 8K, non-rendered in better quality, not even in better performance mode.
Let's see.
All right.
Oh, a little bit. Ah, okay.
It seems like it handles 8 about the same as the last one handled 4.
4. Which would make sense because it's double the power.
It's 2 of the M1 Maxes.
Okay.
I wish it was a little bit further than that.
I kind of agree.
I wish it had a little bit more power than that.
I mean, what was this? 4,000 compared to like almost
62?
I would rather spend 4,000 render it rather than spending.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think, just at least for editing,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't think we're getting a Mac Studio for editing. This seems to be doing just fine. Here's my challenge to Scott, is between now and when the Mac Pro releases, I want him to learn some 3D skills, some After Effects skills, whatever he can learn to just destroy, to demolish that thing.
What if I actually break it though? Then what do I get?
We've got AppleCare. It's fine because I can't justify picking up an editing Mac Studio right now.
We don't need that right now.
Yeah. All right.
Good to know.
Cool beans. So just setting this up for gaming and streaming has been a super weird but super interesting experience. This is a Samsung super ultra wide monitor, so it's essentially 2 1440p monitors side by side, which makes it like 5120 by 1440p, I think, and then the whole thing is 120 hertz. But I first plugged it into the Mac Studio via HDMI, and it was with an HDMI 2.1 Gen 2, or I'm gonna say 2.0 and 2.1. I know it's like 2.1 Gen 1 and Gen 2, but we're gonna make more sense here. I first plugged it in with an HDMI 2.1 cable into this, and immediately it downscaled to 1080p, which I thought was super interesting because then when I got my HDMI to USB-C cable and plugged it into one of the Thunderbolt ports on the back of here, it went back to 1440p full resolution on this monitor. This screen here has fewer pixels than a 4K screen. So I don't think it's the number of pixels. It must just be like it can't handle this weird screen aspect ratio, HDMI 2.0 or something can't. I don't know. But either way, it's running fine out of Thunderbolt now. I'm not getting the full 120 hertz, but I'm not sure if that's just because we're not using HDMI 2.1 to USB-C. We're only using HDMI 2.0, which would cap this number of pixels at 60 FPS. So what we're gonna do, I noticed if I set this to picture by picture mode here so that it's only powering the left side of the monitor, basically turning this into just a 1440p monitor, we're actually able to handle 100 frames per second again, which I'm pretty sure is the limitation of the monitor when you split it in two. When you go to 2 different screens, you lose a little bit of FPS. I wish I had an HDMI 2.1 to see if we could get the full 120 FPS large screen here, but we're gonna do just half the screen because one, I don't wanna game on 32:9, that's obnoxious, but two, I want to have a higher frame rate for gaming. So we got 1440p, 100 FPS. I've got OBS running here. Why don't we just do the gaming and streaming test at the same time? Let's turn on these 2 cameras. So we've got this camera going into an HD60S Plus, and then this camera going into an Elgato Cam Link. Both of those capture cards are compatible with Mac, so they're both running just fine, both capturing at the same time. We're using 4.6% of the CPU, up to 5% of the CPU. And then we got display capture going, which in general is a little bit more processor intensive than just game capture. But we're gonna run that anyway because that's what streamers want. So we've got 3 main sources. We've got 2 4K cameras going into, I believe both of these are set. Yeah, both of these are capturing 4K 30 right now. And then they're both resized. We have 2 scenes. That way we can jump back and forth, get some slight changes in where things are located, get some transitions like the crossfades going, which crossfades in general can add a lot of processing power to, or can require a lot of processing power. So that way we can see what's going on. We're just gonna hit record. Recording in general is more difficult than streaming because not only does it have to process and render and encode everything, but it then also has to write to disk. So anything that we can do recording, we can also do streaming to a platform like Twitch or YouTube. Let's just start recording. We're recording in 1080p 60 FPS at a bit rate, standard Twitch bit rate of 6,000 megabits per second. 6,000 kilobits per second. We're definitely not streaming at 6 gigabits per second. CPU is up to 13%, which is insane because we're using X264. So it is using this CPU. It's not like we're using NVENC where all the encoding power is dropped on the GPU. Like the CPU is doing everything here and it's only using 12 to 13% of the CPU. Even as I jump back and forth, crossfade between these 2 scenes, things move, things resize. Absolutely, yeah. Zero dropped frames. Let's pull up let's pull up a game. Now, the issue with gaming on a Mac is less about the power and it's more about the number of games that are optimized for Mac, which is very few. And if you want to understand more about why that is, Snazzy Labs did an incredible informative video on the gaming experience for Mac, trying things like parallels, crossfire, which games work with which, and why it's in general not a great gaming experience. I'll link that video down below. I watched it last week. It's fantastic. But we're gonna play a game that is compatible with the Mac. And let's be real, it's the most relevant game to play right now anyway. Let's play some Fortnite. We'll play through one game and then we'll jump back into OBS. We'll see how many frames we dropped. I'm gonna set the frames to 144, even though we're only getting 100 on this monitor, just because I wanna see what we can expect out of the game. So our settings right now are on high. They're not on ultra, and we're hitting anywhere between 80 and 100 frames, depending on how much of the world we're seeing. When we look far, we get about 80 to 90. We look down, we get 120, 130. This is a doable experience. I'd love to see what this feels like, optimized for M1. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's a drop right next to me. Oh shoot. They're building, you nerds! You don't build in Fortnite anymore? Oh, Fortnite nerds. Who builds in this game anymore? All right, let's see how OBS handled while we were, well, I would say we were playing, but we weren't playing, we were just looting. That entire game, the whole 21 minutes we were playing, we only dropped 39 frames. So we were gaming in 1440p, 144 frames per second, getting about 90 to 100 frames on average, while capturing it in display capture and also capturing 2 4K cameras on the screen at the same time. Let's stop the recording. Let's just take a look at the recording and make sure it looks good. Yeah, I mean, other than my concentration face taking up the entire screen, this looks just as smooth as it was when I was playing it. Man, I would love to see Apple buy a game studio, game development studio, or something to invest in the gaming space. Because I know no one's buying a Mac to game. It's just the price to performance is nowhere near worth it. But a ton of us already have Macs for our work computers. I edit in Final Cut Pro, I mix music in Logic. Like, I'm not leaving the Mac for my professional work. I wish I could just game on it. Like the power and efficiency in these machines, like it's not warm. It's incredible what these are capable of. I wish there was some kind of incentive for game developers to not only just program for Mac, but also to program for M1. This is a non-M1 optimized game and a non-M1 optimized OBS, and it's honestly, it's kind of crushing it. I mean, there are the obvious streaming limitations when it comes to Mac. I mean, we have 0 PCIe slots, so all of my fancy capture cards like my Camlink Pro or my 4K 60 Pro or any of those things, they're not gonna work in there. Also, even a lot of the USB capture cards need to have certain drivers to work on Mac. And for example, like the HD60S doesn't work on the Mac. But I'm being just probably more optimistic than I should and just hoping that one day, with this new added power to these Macs, gaming and streaming companies will decide it's worth it just to put the extra effort in to make it compatible and optimized for M1 Macs. I'd love to see that because honestly, I'm impressed. But let's jump into VFX and After Effects. Okay, VFX time. We've got After Effects open here and I'm on a call with Sir Wade, who is kind of one of the premiere. Are you gonna? Is it gonna be weird if I call you like a premiere VFX YouTuber? Are you gonna get like weird and humble on me, or is that cool?
I think if you say animation YouTuber, you're clear.
I think I want to keep that whole thing.
people being like,
He's not in the corridor digital space, like, animation wise, yeah.
Animation YouTuber, and we sent him footage yesterday that he added a bunch of After effects to on his PC at home, and now we're gonna do the exact same project here on the Mac and just see what the experience is like. He's remoted in right now, so he's controlling the Mac here.
I guess the first thing I should say is the computer I'm working on, normally building my stuff, is a PC. It's a Threadripper 3990X, 64 core CPU, 64 gigs of RAM, and a 3090, which is like a $12,000 computer. So that's the hardware. Let's roll the clip.
Are you ready to test out some VFX on this thing?
yeah. What does this button do?
I have an idea.
So to make this project, there's a few effects we wanted to use and to test out the Mac. The first one is just a lot of rotoscoping. We didn't want to do green screen. We wanted to put this thing through its paces and do the process that no one likes doing, rotoscope. All right, I'm literally just going to roto this clip right now, and we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to take the layer of Ryan, who is currently being held and dropped on a piano. So I'm just going to take that, open up the layer, and just scribble on a little bit.
Dude, we need to get a background with more contrast.
For future, it will help, but in this case, it's going to work just fine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But what I'm looking at right now is this little green bar, and it's just powering through these frames. My computer, being pretty beefy, goes at a similar speed, but this is still really fast. It might be faster than mine. It's not so much faster than I'm like, oh my God, it's so fast. But if I were on any other computer, what I used to use After Effects on, my laptop, for example, or just any older PC, I'd be freaking out right now. But this is comparable at least.
Yeah, it's comparable to your $10,000 to $12,000 PC.
Yep. And so what we can do now is go back to the composition. And there he is. And now we get to go to the next fun thing, is this is a moving shot, which means he's not gonna work as he is. So I'm gonna do the next thing, and we're gonna track this scene. There we go. Okay, so what I just did was 3D camera track, which again took like no time. That is also a process that it's not like a crazy slow process, but it's not crazy fast usually either. This was it nailed it. All right, let's do one last thing. Let's play with the fun shot with a shrink ray. I have to say, I am a little surprised that it's not giving a little bit of a faster preview here.
Okay.
Like, it's doing certain things really, really fast, but I was hoping that I'd be able to hit the spacebar and then preview this one file, because I'm only looking at one layer right now. The roto brush is already calculated, so it's just an alpha layer. It's just an alpha mask. Like, I should be able to just play this relatively quickly. That said, if I put all the other effects on and I just click on a frame where there's supposed to be a lot going on, this does feel faster than my computer at home, which was an i9-9900K, 64 gigs of RAM, and a 3080. This is loading these frames faster than that computer. General thoughts of this. There are certain things that happen very quickly that I was extremely impressed by. Specifically, clicking right here. So this is my master comp where I've got everything, and I can just click right here and it loads the effects pretty fast. There were certain things that surprised me in the not so great way. Just like playing through 4K footage when there was nothing going on and how long that took to cache. Like, I wonder if there was something going on that I don't know about, because that was a lot slower than I had expected, because it was the least powerful thing that needed to happen, and it was the slowest thing to go. So I don't know what happened there. That and a few other little After Effects bugs that I don't know if it was After Effects or if it was this computer. Maybe drivers haven't been fully worked out or something yet. I don't know. I'm extremely excited for the possibilities of like a machine this small. I used to work on a Mac Mini, and it took me, I rendered in college. I had a Mac Mini, and I rendered, it was my first After Effects. I rendered this big project, my final project. It took me 28 hours to render my final project on that thing. And it was nothing even as complicated as what we're doing right now. So for this to be moving through what we're doing as quickly as it is, even if it's not the most crazy shots, like, this is very impressive, and I'm very excited to do more with it.
For sure.
Let's jump into some audio stuff. Let's go into the studio. All right. I want you to keep this shot relatively tight because we haven't done the tour of the studio yet. I don't want to give away too much. I have a surprise for you. Merry Christmas.
I love you. My love has a price. One Mac Studio. So I've produced now extensively on a maxed out M1 Mac Mini, a maxed out MacBook Pro, and now we're gonna test the maxed out Mac Studio. Just some background comparison. The Mac Mini made a huge jump in speed. Its limitation came from RAM. RAM is really important when you're using a lot of samples and virtual instruments in music production, and there's only 16 gigabytes of RAM available on that. The fan noise on the Mac Mini was non-existent unless I put my ear up to it, no matter how much I was pushing the computer. So that was amazing. When I upgraded to the M1 Max model of the MacBook Pro, the processing speed, again, great jump in performance. The fan noise was still a big problem for someone who has the laptop in the room I'm recording. So I have a session I set up with different very intense virtual instruments in Pro Tools, and I actually ran this before on the MacBook Pro. We're gonna try it on the Mac Studio and see how far we can take it. So one thing I want to check out is just boot up speed. A reminder that Pro Tools is still running on Rosetta 2 translation, and it still runs really great, but I'm excited for when it's optimized for the new chips. Let me open up the session. We're gonna start small, and then we're gonna get big. So far, nothing spectacularly different. I mean, that's pretty fast, but that's not something mind-blowing. So let me just show you real quick what I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instances of Keyscape. Keyscape is one of the most intensely system-heavy plugins I've used. Let me just show you what I have here. I have one kind of bass piano going. Foundational piano chords going. I have a melody going. I have this textural high stuff. I have the lower hand as kind of the bass. And then I kind of have this counter melody going on. But yeah, that's all Keyscapes, all the same patch. I also have another pretty system heavy plugin, the RC20 Retro Color. This might have caused trouble on the Mac Mini, in my experience. This many instances of Keyscapes. I usually maxed out at like 2 or 3 with all the other plugins I was running. Just so you know, my buffer speed right now is maxed out 1024 samples. If you don't know what buffer size is, it's basically, think of it as time that the computer has to think before it has to play audio. At this point, we're definitely beating the power of the Mac Mini already. I have these 7 tracks set up. I'm gonna turn these down, and then I'm going to open up 19 more versions of this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show the other 19 versions of these. All right, so here we are. It's literally the first group multiplied 19 more times. Now this will be a good test. Let's see how fast it loads all that. Okay, so this is, I think, still pretty fast for activating tracks, but again, it doesn't look that fast, but we're doing a lot. We're going up to 100 instances of Keyscapes, 20 instances of Decapitator, 20 instances of RC Color. We can see the memory's only at 24%. How many gigs of RAM does this have?
128.
Cool.
It seems like one of the biggest changes is like loading times and stuff being so fast.
Yeah, because I guess that's the difference between the Max and the Ultra chip. Is the loading times, right?
Yeah, the memory bandwidth is it writes to RAM twice as fast. So not only do you have twice the amount of RAM, but you also have twice the amount of RAM speed.
The upgrade from the Mac Mini to the MacBook Pro was insane for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that was RAM.
I'm just wondering if like soldering 2 M1 Maxes together just isn't the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, so overall, I'm blown away by the loading speeds. It's grabbing and loading samples like crazy fast. The stability for sure, like running 100 instances plus of this plugin, it ran completely stable, which is definitely a step up from the MacBook Pro. I am surprised we didn't get more. I thought it would be, you know, the ideal thing would be double, right? That's like the fantasy, but you know, maybe we went from, maybe it's like a 20%. This is gonna be one. Let me go put my ear to the computer and see how loud the fan is.
Oh.
Because I can't tell with this light fan. Fan noise wise, it's still way better than the MacBook Pro. It's maybe a tiny bit louder than the Mac Mini, but maybe not by much.
All right, I'm gonna take this out and do some final thoughts.
Cool.
So I guess if I were to describe the M1 Ultra Mac Studio in one word, I don't know, I feel like underwhelming. And maybe it's because Apple set the bar really high with both the M1 and the M1 Pro / Max. Like those two leaps were astronomical. We went from spec'd out i9 MacBook Pros to editing on M1 Mac Minis because it was such a drastic difference in editing. And then when we went to the M1 Max MacBook Pros, again, it was a massive leap. And with the Mac Studio, there are some little things here, like in editing, it made the process a little bit smoother and we could add a couple more streams of 8K, but it didn't like solve all of our problems. I'd say the real advantages to it are just the massive amounts of IO and the lack of fan noise, which kind of makes it ideal for the recording studio. But even in here, it wasn't a massive improvement. So I really wonder if there's something about putting two M1 Max chips together that just don't give it a ton of extra power. Or maybe this stuff just isn't optimized for that specific kind of SoC, I don't know. But either way, having all the extra IO and having like zero fan noise is a big deal for the studio. So we're definitely gonna keep it in here. I guess it works for what we got it for. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments down below, let me know. And as always, happy streaming.